Synapse Films brings to Blu-ray the 2014 documentary Invaluable, the story of an epic artist. This is the story of Tom Sullivan, the man who created the Book of the Dead for the Evil Dead films and did a lot of the original special effects on the original Evil Dead and some on the other sequels. And it's just, if you're an Evil Dead fan, you need this. That's just like, that's all there is to it. It is not the most well-made documentary I've seen. Technical aspects are a little shaky here and there. It feels like maybe it could have been a little bit shorter, but it dives deeply into the making of the Evil Dead, talking to most of the people who were involved in the making of the Evil Dead, a lot of the cast, a lot of the crew, people behind the scenes, people who were involved, people who are peripheral to the production as well. And it just dives really, really deep. And this disc as a whole dives even deeper than that. So it shows you how the special effects were done. You see some rare behind the scenes footage, some outtakes, a lot of stills, and a lot of deep dives into what it was like to be this group of friends in the middle of nowhere with very few resources, making your first feature film, and one that turned out to be iconic. And the name Invaluable is what keeps coming up when they're talking about Tom Sullivan. I think Bruce Campbell is quoted as saying he was invaluable to the production. And it's just, if you're somebody who used to subscribe to Fangoria or Cinefex magazine, this is something you want to see, or Cinemagic. It's just, it just really dives in deep into what it's like to be somebody working on a film like this and creating this. You get interviews with, as I said, most of the cast. Sam Raimi and Rob Tapert are mostly older interviews that you see. They're either old interviews that were done for this or old interviews from when Evil Dead was originally released. This is, a lot of it was shot at conventions by somebody who's clearly a fan who became a friend of Tom Sullivan. And it's just, sometimes the editing is crude, sometimes the sound is crude, or the sound levels are a little crude. But if you're an Evil Dead fan, I don't know why you wouldn't want to have this next to your Evil Dead sets, next to your Book of the Dead edition of Evil Dead, or all 10 editions of the Evil Dead that Anchor Bay put out over the years. It's just, it's an interesting deep dive into the making of that film. If you're not into that movie, I don't know if you would get as much out of this, because you're just like, wow, yeah, Evil Dead's cool and all, but you're talking about Evil Dead a lot. Very interesting extras on this. There is an extra called Other Men's Careers. It is 77 minutes long. The feature here is 103 minutes. The special features, the first one at least, Other Men's Careers, 77 minutes long. It is a documentary from the same filmmaker, Ryan Meade, I should have said earlier on, sorry about that, is a documentary from Ryan Meade about Josh Becker, who was one of the guys behind Evil Dead, one of the guys who grew up with Sam Raimi and Rob Tapert and Bruce Campbell, and was part of their filmmaking group who did those Super 8 movies you may have seen with some of the same cast members, with Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi acting in them, and is one of those people who had a dream of being a filmmaker and never quite made it as like an A-list filmmaker, but has worked a lot over the years, has made independent features, was able to work quite a bit like on the Hercules series and stuff. And this to me is the more interesting of the two documentaries on this, simply because it dives really deep and it goes into places that you think somebody wouldn't let a documentary about them go. It is surprisingly frank about Josh Becker's personality defects, shall we say, his foibles as a human being. His friends really get into some of the stumbles he's had in life. He gets into the stumbles he's had in life and the bitterness of not seeing the level of success that his friends have seen. And you see a lot of what he has done for work, a lot of behind the scenes. He was the director of things, Thou Shalt Not Kill Except, which is a fun B-movie throwback that he directed that has Sam Raimi in it as like a Charles Manson kind of character. Running Time, which is a film he made to look like it's all in one continuous real-time take with Bruce Campbell. Alien Apocalypse, which was apparently at one point the highest rated original movie shown on Sci-Fi Channel, and did, as I said, those Super 8 films. And he worked on the Evil Dead, so you get his take on the Evil Dead, and you see him with like the clapperboard on some outtake footage from the Evil Dead. Like the documentary Invaluable that's on this disc, you get interviews with a lot of the same people. You get Rob Tapert, you get Lucy Lawless, you get Bruce Campbell, you get all kinds of people who work with Josh Becker talking about him, including Tom Sullivan. And it's just, it was interesting. It was really interesting. Again, if you're a fan of the Evil Dead and independent filmmaking, it's a really interesting doc to watch. Better overall production quality, I thought, than Invaluable. Some good stories, some wild and good stories in there. Bonus on this disc, you get a bunch of bonus features on this disc. You get Invaluable Trailer 1, that's 3.5 minutes. Invaluable Trailer 2, that's 3.5 minutes. A short film by a few Ryan Meade short films, one called Bong Fly that's 19 minutes, Behind the Scenes on Bong Fly that's 10 minutes, Mega Master Bong Fly trailer that's 2.5 minutes, Cosmos Locos short film that's 30 minutes, Other Men's Careers trailer that's 2 minutes. You get a Tom Sullivan vintage interview from a show called In the Spotlight that's 50 minutes long. This is like a public access show from 1988-89, hosted by two like high school kids who are into filmmaking and special effects, talking about Evil Dead and special effects. And Sullivan has some of the special effects original props that he used for those films. And at this point, it was only like a year after they had made Evil Dead 2. You also get, for fans of the WNUF TV special, you get the actual vintage local public access TV ads during the show, which are invaluable, if I may. You get a Josh Becker extended interview segments that are 7 minutes. You get Tim Philo, who's a friend of Josh Becker, unedited interview that he shot himself for the documentary. That's 48 minutes. And he was a cameraman on Evil Dead 1 and 2, so you get a lot more stories and insight from him. You get a Turkey or Chicken bonus clip that's 1.5 minutes, Bruce Campbell interview outtake. You get snapshot stills gallery, 4 minutes, stills of Tom Sullivan and Evil Dead cast at various conventions. Booby bonus clip that's 1 minute long, and it's Ellen Sandweiss and Bruce Campbell doing an Evil Dead cast Q&A at a convention. And you get the Cry of Cthulhu bonus clip. This is Tom Sullivan discussing a Lovecraft project that never really came to be that he was working on. So available now. I'll show you the disc. So this is the cover. So it's an artwork about Tom Sullivan and the various books of the dead and Evil Dead kind of things. At the back there, I don't believe it's a reversible cover. It's a reversible cover. You get the reversible cover that looks a little something like that. And then you get the disc itself. You get the standard Synapse catalog of all the releases. And you get the disc itself, which has some more pretty cool, if you can see that without glare, original art of the Book of the Dead. So available now on Blu-ray from Synapse Films. Really kind of a must for any Evil Dead fan's shelf. Invaluable, the story of an epic artist with the bonus feature, Other Men's Careers.